Hey guys, Jake here, and today I am here with our Week 2 match of CPC, and this week we are going against Risepool, aka Johnny, coach of the Rhine Valley Guardians. We were able to pick up a 2-0 victory versus Chris, aka Togalore, in Week 1, so that was pretty cool. And going into this week, I was feeling pretty confident about my matchup. I think my matchup is pretty solid. He definitely has a lot of threats like the Thunderous, the Heracross, and the Roserade. But I had ways of pivoting around that in my offensive threats where I could deal with much better. Like the Heracross, I could have brought like an Aromatisse to switch into, but it was too passive because he had stuff like here. Let me read out his entire roster. So his team consists of Clefable, Latias, Thunderous Eye, Metagross, Roserade, Blaziken, Snorlax, Piloswine, and Mega Heracross. Now, one thing I was really excited to not see was a Blaziken because I had pretty much zero switch-ins to it. But I understand why he didn't bring it. The Latias I was also pretty happy to not see, and as well as the Metagross. It means my Toxicroak will have a much easier job of potentially cleaning up late game. And yeah, so faster than Mega Heracross. I could have brought in a Aromatisse to switch into it, but it was too passive when we had stuff like Roserade and Metagross, which could just capitalize on it and come into it for pretty much for free. And as for the Thunderous, I could have brought a Venusaur, like especially defensive Venusaur for Thunderous, but I felt that Thunderous is a Z eligible mon, and I thought that Z would be a sure thing on Thunderous. And Roserade, I have a Zapdos, I have a Bronzong, I have Hoopa. I have some ways of dealing with Roserade, but if it sets up too many hazards, it can be really threatening. So I have to watch out for that. I don't think you can bring Toxic Spike because of my Venusaur though, and the Piloswine is a really good bring this game. It actually walls a really good amount of my team. It can switch into my Scarf Hoopa decently. It pretty much walls my Zapdos. Toxicroak, Toxicroak doesn't even one-shot Piloswine, and it can one-shot with EQ, and Garchomp just loses to Piloswine all the time, and his Piloswine won't be able to touch Bronzong, as you'll see, but still the Piloswine does prove to be a bit of an annoyance. Now, Snorlax is another pretty big threat to my team. If it sets up too much with Curse, then it could be really hard for me to kill. Same goes with Clefable when it comes to stuff like Calm Mind. And I'm expecting this thing to be Kebia Berry, because that works for like Gungshot, Hoopa, and my Toxicroak. And if it wants to like take a hit from my Venusaur and hit back with a Psychic or something, I felt like Kebia Berry was a pretty good possibility. I even expected it more over something like Leftovers. So getting into my team, the first mon I have is a fast, especially defensive Zapdos. This mon is nice because I can outspeed and one-shot the Heracross. I can potentially even switch into the Heracross aggressively, depending on this situation, if I don't think he's gonna make the play and go for Rock Blast. I also can potentially outspeed the Roserade, and I can take hits from the Thundy if he's not Life Orb. I have Thunderbolt, Hidden Power Flying, Roost for recovery, and then I have Roar. Roar is really important in this game. So if Snorlax or Clefable get too scary setting up, I can just phase them out. I don't have the fog on this, but I think Roar is more important. He has a lot of scary setup sweepers. Now on to the next one. I have a dual screens Bronzong with Toxic and Earthquake as well. I've got the Light Clay. The screens are really nice to just limit the damage output from these three threats. I originally had Venusaur on the spot, but for Venusaur, when I had Venusaur over Bronzong, I was like kind of losing to Metagross in all 5 of my mocks. Metagross came to all 5 of my mocks, but he did not bring it, obviously. But I still think Bronzong was a pretty nice bring. Piloswine can't really do too much to me, so whenever he goes Piloswine, I pretty much get a free screen or something. And the next one I have is an Aerodactyl. I've got 4 attacks, Stone Edge, Aerial Ace for the Heracross, Iron Tail just to potentially 2 KO Clefable as long as I hit. And I've also got Crunch, and I've got the Darkinium Z. The Darkinium Z will be useless this match because he didn't bring the Metagross or the Latias, but I think that's a good idea in theory, because I can just I live a Bullet Punch and I can almost kill him. I just need a tiny bit of chip on the Metagross to kill him, and also I one-shot the Latias, so that's nice. The next thing I have is a Scarfoopa Unbound. This is pretty nice because I could one-shot the Roserade with Zen Headbutt and the Heracross. Because he didn't bring Metagross, I can pretty much spam Zen Headbutt. He didn't bring a Psychic Resist, so that's pretty cool. I've also got Gunk Shot to pop the potential Kebia Berry on Clef. If I have to pop that Kebia Berry for Toxicroak late game, I'll do that. And I've also got Trick. That's nice if Snorlax is getting scary, stuff like that. And then the next Pokemon I've got is a Life Orb Garchomp. That's my stealth record this week. I've also got Earthquake, Dragon Claw, and Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace has a really good chance to one-shot a max HP Mega Heracross, and Dragon Claw, I can't even potentially do a KO. Mega Heracross is so bulky. But Aerial Ace is pretty nice because I can just I wanted everything on my team to just hit Mega Heracross really hard. Bronzong obviously can't, but it has the Reflect, which is pretty nice. And then the next Pokemon is probably my biggest win condition coming into this game. I've got a Swords Dance, Life Orb, Toxicroak with SD, Gunk Shot, Cross Chop over Drain Punch, and Sucker Punch to hit the Latias and the Metagross. So I went for a Cross Chop over Drain Punch because Drain Punch can't one-shot the Snorlax after rocks, and it doesn't do much at all to the Piloswine. But as you're gonna see during the game, Drain Punch definitely would have worked out better, but it's hindsight. So I'm just gonna lead off with my Zapdos because I feel like it has pretty good matchup against most things on his team. He leads off with his Roserade, and like I said, I don't want this thing setting up too many hazards, and there's a good chance I outspeed this, and I do a KO with a Hidden Power Flying. I can take any one hit from it, so I'm just gonna go for the Hidden Power Flying. I do a nice amount, and he goes for the Sludge Bomb, and that does 50%, and he gets a Poison. Now this Poison is gonna be really annoying for this whole game, but it's the game we play. It means my Zapdos' ability to wall will be severely hindered, and yeah, it just sucks a lot, but it's basically Skull Chance, so I shouldn't be complaining that much. And next, he's just gonna go into his Piloswine. I figured he'd probably do that, so I just reached up, because he wouldn't want to attack his Roserade when he has a really good answer in Piloswine. So here I go to my Bronzong because I can get a screen up, and that'll be pretty nice. He goes into his Heracross. I went for the Flex. Now here I'm gonna go into my Garchomp because I already revealed to be a fast Zapdos with Hidden Power Flying. I really thought he'd try and go for the Rock Blast because I felt like because of the Reflect is up, and I revealed to be fast Zapdos, and I revealed it Hidden Power Flying. I feel like he really did not want to have it be Zapdos versus Heracross. He didn't want Zapdos to come in for free versus Heracross, so I predicted the Rock Blast on this turn, but as you're gonna see, he just goes for the knockoff on this turn, and this makes my Garchomp pretty, it really makes it a lot less useful because it can't do it KO the Clefable, can't one shot this Heracross. I do a lot less to Snorlax, and I'm still pretty decently checked by Pilot Swine. So on this turn, I'm just gonna set up my rocks. He has no way of removing them, which is nice. And he goes into his Pilot Swine. Now I'm just gonna make the safe play and go into my Bronzong, as he pulls a double into his Roserade. Now this turn, I know he's probably either gonna go for a Shadow Ball, a Hidden Power, like Fire, Dark, Ghost, something to hit my Bronzong, or Hazard, and any of those attacks, like Shadow Ball or Hidden Power or Fire, would to it KO. And I want my Bronzong healthy because it's a really nice pivot into his Pilot Swine, and I don't really have any other switch-ins to Pilot Swine. Pilot Swine is looking like a threat at this point in the battle, so I'm gonna pull the offensive switch into my Scarf Hoopa. I can take any one hit from this Roserade as long as he doesn't go for the Pin Missile, and he just goes for the Shadow Ball, and I take that decently well. Now, here, he dies to Rock, so I know he's probably gonna stay in and just sack this thing because he doesn't have a switch in. I could have gone for the Hyperspace Fury here to guarantee the hit, but obviously I'm locked in, and if I do that, he can just come in with Clefable or Heracross, and neither of those things if I want getting a free switch in. So I'm gonna click send headbutt, and I miss. And he only gets 2 out of the Pin Missile, so he dies to Life Orb, but he dies to Life Orb either way. And now he goes into his Pilot Swine, and here I made a misplay. This was just an idiot play on my part. I figured, I just forgot about Ice Guard, in all honesty. I should have gone into my Bronzong and saved this thing, because he's obviously going for Ice Guard. But I just decided to stay here and sack my Hoopa, potentially go for the Zen Headbutt and begin this thing. But no, he just takes out my Hoopa with a nice shard. So now I go into my Bronzong because I can set up a light screen, and that's pretty nice. He goes hard into his Heracross, and this turn I felt more confident about going into Zapdos because he wouldn't want me staying in. Like if he stayed in, if I stayed in and he went for a Rock Blast, and I would set up a Reflect, then he would have been in a tough position. So I figured there was a better chance that he'd either like Close Combat or Pin Missile or Knock Off, and he goes for the Knock Off again. I do believe that. And now I force him out so I can just roost up. This he goes into a Snorlax. And as you can see, that poison's whittling me a lot. But I'm just gonna roost up again on the Snorlax. I want to stay in because I have Roar, and I'm gonna get this thing out of here if it starts setting up. I'm gonna go for the Roar in this turn as he goes for the Curse again, which is nice. Now he goes into his Pilot Swine, which is the worst thing. And here, I've been going into Bronzong versus Pilot Swine the whole game, and he's been showing that he likes to go into his Heracross versus my Bronzong because it puts a lot of offensive pressure on my team. If he goes for like the Icicle Crash or something, and I go into Bronzong, he's in a bad situation. He doesn't gain anything from being in this position if I go into Bronzong here, and he does very little damage, and he'll do very little damage to me. So I figure he'd probably try and capitalize on my probable Bronzong switch in. And I just goes for the Hidden Power Flying, predicting the Mega Heracross, and we do get that prediction right. So Mega Heracross is gone, and that means that his biggest wall breaker is out of the way. So that's really nice. So now he's gonna go into his Thundurus. I didn't know why, cause maybe I could take this thing on nicely. I just switched out. I was just paranoid of stuff. I was behind a light screen, so I would have been able to take on this Thundurus, but instead I'm just going to be able to go into my Bronzong and take the Thunderbolt with ease. That calcs shows that he's modest. Thundurus. I could take another Thunderbolt, and I go for the Toxic. I felt like there was no point in going for a Reflect. Instead, I would rather just put this Thundurus on a timer. And now I remember that I want to keep this Bronzong around for Pilot Swine. I don't want to taking too much more damage. So I'm just gonna sack off my Garchomp here. I'm gonna switch it into the Thunderbolt, and then it's gonna die next turn to the Hidden Power Ice. And now this is in range of my Toxicroak Sucker Punch. And I'm not gonna over predict. If he keeps like going for nasty powers, I'm trying to predict around the Sucker Punch, he'll eventually die to Toxic. So I'm able to take out the Thundurus, and that is Toxicroak's first kill of the season. Now he goes into Piloswine, and I think my only switch into this is Bronzong. If he's max physically defensive, which he might be, I actually don't kill this Piloswine with Cross Chop, which is pretty insane. Piloswine's so bulky. So I'm just gonna switch into my Bronzong on this turn, as he pulls a double switch into Clefable. Now I'm expecting somewhat of a Calm Minds. So here I'm in a predicament. I don't want to switch my Zapdos in because of the poison. There's a decent chance he can kill me with something like a Moonblast plus Rocks plus poison could kill me, and then I have no Phaser, which is pretty crucial. Oh yeah, that's why I switched out to Bronzong versus Thundurus. I wanted to keep my Zapdos rent at all costs. Otherwise, this setup mons like Snorlax and Clefable could just win. And so this turn, I'm gonna go straight into my Aerodactyl, predicting a Calm Minds, and I get 2 KO with Iron Tail. But as you're gonna see, he's gonna go for Cosmic Power, which is pretty scary, but it's also kind of good because he can't boost up and beat my Zapdos. So I mean, he can have Sword Power, but that actually does like very little, even at +2 defense, +2 special defense. So I'm not too scared of this Clefable here. I can just pull the aggressive switch into my Zapdos. No need to sack anything. He just goes for the Cosmic Power again. Here I can roost up, because if I went for Roar on that turn, I would have died to Moonblast. So here on this turn, I just go for the Roost as he goes for the Moonblast, and that only does 25%, which means on this next turn, I'll be able to live any one hit and roar him out. And this turn, my Zapdos will die to Poison, but that's okay. And here, I'm just going to go into my Toxicroak, because he did reveal he's leftovers and he's not Chople Berry. So this is the point in the game where I'm pretty sure my opponent realizes he has to really pivot around my Toxicroak well if he wants to win. I did show that on Life Orb, so he can with Ice. He's got Ice Shard on Piloswine, and he's got a Fighting Resist, and he's got a Poison Resist, which means he definitely could try and pivot around my Toxicroak in order to wear me down, and then just win with either Snorlax or the Clefable. So I'm just gonna make a safe play, go for the Cross Chop on this turn. As he goes into Clefable, I do take the one hit of Life Orb, and here I'm just gonna Gunk Shot. That might have been a misplay, but I do miss. That actually kinda helps me. Here I'm gonna go Ice Shard, and I miss Cross Chop. Now this sucks, because now he's gonna Ice Shard me again on the next turn, and then I'll have, in order to kill him, I'll have to take yet another hit of Life Orb, which means it'll be tough for me to have enough hits to beat the remainder of his team. And my Bronzong is pretty much dead weight at this point, and it'll be hard for my Aerodactyl well, it's impossible for my Aerodactyl to beat the Piloswine, but it'll be pretty tough for it to beat the Snorlax and the Clefable as well. So now I'm just gonna go for the Cross Chop again as he goes for the Ice Shard. It brings me down to 24%, now with Life Orb on 14%, which means I have 2 hits left to win the game with my Toxicroak. Here, as in he goes into Clefable, he already showed that he's leftovers. He's not Kebia Berry, which I did expect. But what I thought he'd do here is go into Snorlax, because if he goes into Snorlax, he doesn't get one shot by Gunk Shot, which he might think is my play, and what seems like the play at first. But if he goes into Snorlax, then I lose, because I don't have enough hits. Like, If I go into gunk shot, if I gunk shot right here and he goes into Snorlax, that does like 50%, and then I only have 4% left because of Life Orb. And then I have to either attack, then he either gets to attack off Snorlax or Clefable to my Toxic Growth, and then my Toxic Growth dies, and my Aerodactyl can't beat this Clefable or Snorlax, and nor can my Bronzong. So I figured his play is gonna pivot out into Snorlax to try and get to it KO'd. So I die a Life Orb on the turn after. So I'm gonna go for the Cross Chop, and he goes into Snorlax, and we land, and we one-shot the Snorlax. That play was really hard for me to make, but I did do it, so that had me really happy. So now all it comes down to is me hitting a gunk shot on this turn. He is not Kebiaberry. He is not. He can't live this. So if I miss this gunk shot, then he takes me out with Moonblast, and then my arrow probably loses it to this 1v1. Actually, maybe my Aerodactyl could have beaten 1v1, because I did have Iron Tail, but I would have had to hit, and I don't know his spreads. But oh well. I'm just gonna go for the gunk shot here. It's my only play, and we are able to hit and knock out the Clefable. And my Toxic Growth dies to the Life Orb. But that was one of my favorite league games to date. There was a lot of really huge predictions I had to make in order to win that game, and I made them and I worked out. A game like going for Hidden Power Flying, predicting the Heracross to come in early on was pretty nice. I was getting a bit on tilt at the end because of missing Cross Chop on the Piloswine, and as well as the Sludge Bomb Poison on my Zapdos, and missing Zen Headbutt on Roserade with my Koopa. But that was still a great game. Razpool, definitely one of my favorite league games to date. And then look forward to next week. Next week we are facing Will the RNG Lord and the San Antonio Sparse. They have a Mega Kangaskhan, which is fun to prep for and play for. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.